Chapter 321, 198. Ma Ziwei wants to follow the pure-blood human path _2. After tossing out such a sentence, Ma Ziwei turned and walked upstairs to her room, no longer discussing the matter of the pure-blood human path with Ma Zhenhe. Ma Zhenhe was too conservative, not radical enough, and she had no common language with him, they just couldn't continue the conversation. The next morning, as dawn was just breaking, the family quarters of Shanghai University, Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan woke up early. Xiao Chen, don't be in such a hurry to get up, okay? Can't we just laze around in bed a bit longer? Seeing Lin Zikan about to get out of bed as soon as he opened his eyes, Shen Qinghan playfully tugged at his arm. Lin Zikan saw her acting coy and decided to oblige her by lying back down. Xiao Chen is so good. Here, your reward is a good morning kiss. Shen Qinghan leaned over Lin Zikan's face, lifting her soft tresses that hung down and kissed him on the lips. Lin Zikan reached around her waist and began to reciprocate her kiss. After nearly 10 minutes, they finally stopped. Xiao Chen, besides a morning kiss, there are other rewards too. What rewards? Lin Zikan asked with a smile. Shen Qinghan did not answer, she just gave him a smile and quickly snuggled under the covers. Lin Zikan remained silent, simply closing his eyes to enjoy. Who knows how much time passed? It was completely light outside the window by now. And by this time, Shen Qinghan also climbed out of bed, joining Lin Zikan out of bed. She went to the bathroom to shower, while he went to the washroom to brush his teeth. Afterward, they had breakfast together in the living room and then headed to the inner campus, with Zhang Wangzhen seeing them off. Upon entering the inner campus, she headed in the direction of the research institute, while he walked towards the Evolution College. Shen Qinghan originally wanted to go to the research institute together. But Lin Zikan had told her that it would be best to visit Evolution College on the first day of school to bid farewell to her classmates, since it would feel rather cold to just leave without a word after being classmates for an entire semester. Shen Qinghan thought that made sense and took his advice, choosing to go to Evolution College to properly say goodbye to her classmates. 5 minutes later, Shen Qinghan arrived at the Evolution College and entered a large classroom in the middle of the first floor. Today was the first day of the semester. As per the tradition of Shanghai University's genius class, the first lesson was a class meeting, which was held in the main classroom of Evolution College. The content of the class mainly covered summarizing the achievements of the last semester and setting goals for the current semester. Sister Han, what brings you here? As soon as Shen Qinghan entered the classroom, Luo Yongjian, who had been sitting on the windowsill pretending to be cool, immediately hopped down and approached her. The others in the classroom, hearing his voice, all turned around to look at Shen Qinghan as she walked in. They had all seen the announcement in the class group that morning that Shen Qinghan had joined the Tianren Pavilion and knew that she would no longer be attending classes at Evolution College. Seeing her enter the classroom now, they were all quite surprised. I came to say goodbye to everyone. Shen Qinghan looked at her classmates with a somewhat reluctant tone. She found her university classmates to be so pleasant, unlike in elementary, middle, or high school, where they would despise her for some things, exclude her, and speak ill of her. She truly was quite reluctant to leave these classmates. But more than missing her fellow classmates, she wanted to be with Lin Zikan at the research institute every day. Sister Han, the dean said in the class group that you are a pure-blood human. What's that all about? Luo Yongjian asked, curious. He didn't care whether Shen Qinghan was there to bid farewell or not, but he was really curious about Ma Zhenhe saying in the group that Shen Qinghan was a pure-blood human. The other people in the class felt the same way and were very curious about this sudden revelation. They had seen Shen Qinghan turn her hair deep blue several times, using the ability of the blue spirit jellyfish to manipulate people's chi blood from afar. This sudden claim that Shen Qinghan was a pure-blood human was really hard to believe. Facing the curiosity of her classmates, Shen Qinghan chose to satisfy them by revealing her secret of possessing a special physique, capable of enslaving exotic beast genes. After all, in the coming days, she would have to demonstrate her strength and talent in front of the whole school's teachers and students in order to make it onto the list of alien human-level geniuses. Since everyone was curious, it was better to show off her abilities now and satisfy their curiosity. After hearing about Shen Qinghan's gene slavery, everyone in the room was stunned into silence. Li Moyu's elder brother, who is the genius Li Yujin from the capital city. He is known to be the nation's top genetic fusion genius, at most capable of suppressing exotic beast genes, allowing himself to integrate multiple exotic beast genes. However, Shen Qinghan was even more exaggerated, taking direct control over exotic beast genes. Control is what concept? This was worth much more than the term suppress. The gap was so wide, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say it was as different as heaven and earth. At this time, Ma Ziwei came up and asked, "Qinghan, does your Lin Zikan also have some special physique?" As soon as these words came out, the ears of everyone in the classroom perked up. Since the beginning of school, Lin Zikan's demeanor when facing his peers had always been completely dominant. Not just peers. Even the talented upperclassmen from second and third year were no match for Lin Zikan. Such an illogical strength could only be explained if Lin Zikan also possessed a special physique. Shen Qinghan thought for a moment and said, "Xiao Chen is just highly adaptable to the blood tempering technique. When he practices body refining with it, his efficiency is astonishing, more than 10 times mine. I don't know if that counts as a special physique. More than 10 times. Upon hearing this, the crowd was visibly shocked. If a 10-fold difference wasn't a special physique, what was? After their shock subsided, the classroom was filled with envious sighs mixed with a hint of flattery. Ziai Chen has the makings of a saint in the flesh. Qinghan is gene slavery, Ziai Chen is a saint in the flesh, truly a peerless duo. Not just a peerless duo, they're a match of talent and beauty, Qinghan at school beauty level, Ziai Chen at school hunk level. Such a perfect match makes one envious. One handsome and skilled, one beautiful and able to fight, how are we supposed to live with this?" Hearing the sighs of her classmates, Shen Qinghan's heart was filled with delight. Her dream since childhood had been to be known as a peerless duo with Lin Zikan, and she hadn't expected that dream to come true today. "By the way, I made a bag of cookies last night, if nobody minds, please try some." Shen Qinghan put the bag she was carrying onto the desk in front of her, and said with a sweet smile to everyone in the classroom. This was her farewell gift to her classmates. Once the bag of cookies was eaten, she would have to leave. She was going to the Pure Human Research Institute to research the pure blood human path with her beloved Lin Zikan, cultivate the blood tempering technique, and explore the mysteries of the human body. Wow, cookies made by Qinghan herself. They must be delicious, let me try. Get me one too. Perfect, I skipped breakfast, thanks Qinghan. The people in the classroom gathered around in small groups to get cookies, calling her Qinghan affectionately, showing great respect for Shen Qinghan. In the past, they respected Shen Qinghan as Lin Zikan's fiancé. But now, the respect was for her as an individual. This was someone capable of gene slavery and deserving of respect. It wasn't long before the cookies were all gone. Seeing that it was about time, Shen Qinghan was about to leave the classroom to head for the research institute. Luo Yongjian spoke up, "Qinghan, you'll have plenty of time to visit the institute and find Ziai Chen later. Don't go today, stay and attend class with us instead, just for one last day." A girl said, "Yeah Qinghan, stay and attend class with us for one last day. After class we can all take a class photo together." "Alright then, I'll tell Xiao Chen." Shen Qinghan agreed and took out her phone to send a message to Lin Zikan, telling him she would be attending class at Evolution College today, for the last time. They would go to the research institute together tomorrow. P.S. Can't finish this, we'll update another chapter around 2 p.m. Chapter 322, 199, Student Union? Exactly, the Student Union. At the suggestion of his classmates, Shen Qinghan stayed for the last day of class. When the clock struck 8 a.m., the class teacher arrived to start the class meeting. He summarized the grades from the previous semester and set goals for the next semester. In less than half the class period, the class teacher had said everything that needed to be said. With the remaining time, he held a simple farewell party for Shen Qinghan. Calling it a farewell party was a bit of a stretch. It was really just a gathering to chat, take some group photos, and then it was over. After all, the preparations were hasty, and it couldn't have been elaborate. After the farewell party, the class moved to the gym's training room for the next lesson. As one of the top 2 universities, Shanghai University's intensity and pressure of study was extremely high. Right from the start of the new semester, students had to get into the swing of learning, without much time to adjust. En route to the gym, Ma Ziwei walked alongside Shen Qinghan, asking curiously, "Qinghan, what exactly does it feel like to practice the blood tempering technique? Is it difficult?" Shen Qinghan's voice was soft as she replied. "You need to be able to sense the qi blood within your body and control it precisely in order to practice the blood tempering technique." Precise control. Ma Ziwei murmured to herself. Sensing qi blood, she could do that. Controlling qi blood, that too was within her capability. But controlling qi blood with precision, she hadn't actually tried that. However, she thought it probably wouldn't be too difficult for herself. Her biological level had already reached an impressive common tier 6, and her control over qi blood was exceedingly strong. Precise control should be no problem. With my physical talent, I should be able to follow the pure blood human path. Ma Ziwei thought to herself silently. Her heart was no longer set on the path of genetic fusion. A few minutes later, the freshman prodigies of Shanghai University arrived at the gym and headed to the training room on the second floor. They came without a teacher leading the way, it was the students who came on their own. At Shan University, aside from the first few lessons where teachers lead, most of the time the classes were for students to practice on their own. The teachers at Shan University, like those in Evolution College and Mechanical Academy, were generally high-level experts, and teaching was only a tiny part of their total work. Most of the time, these powerful teachers were out assisting the security forces, eliminating exotic beasts and maintaining the safety of the university's surroundings. "Why the hell are you upperclassmen hogging the training room and not letting us in?" "Because we're stronger than you. You upperclassmen are too domineering, I'm going to complain to the academic office." "Go and complain quickly, and stop whining at the door, you're annoying us to death." Shen Qinghan had just reached the gym's second floor when she heard an argument coming from the entrance of the training room. Following the noise, she saw a crowd of students quarreling at the door of the training room. Listening in, it seemed the dispute began because the freshmen wanted to enter the training room, but the upperclassmen, who had taken good spots early, wouldn't let them. "Damn it, these upperclassmen are going too far." Luo Yongjian, who was walking in front, heard the argument and immediately went to defend the freshmen after understanding the cause of the dispute. He considered himself a righteous sword immortal and loved nothing more than to draw his sword to help those who faced injustice. Those damn upperclassmen, relying on their few extra years of training to bully the younger, definitely needed a lesson in humility. Seeing this, the other students from the freshman prodigy class all followed his lead. They were leaders among the freshman class, and it was their duty to stand up for others. "Let's go, we should join them," Ma Ziwei said, quickly catching up with the pace of the others. Shen Qinghan said nothing, simply following silently. "The prodigy class is here. Brother Yu, Brother Jian, these upperclassmen are too oppressive, they won't let us new students into the training room. You upperclassmen are so overbearing, let's see if you dare to stop the prodigy class from entering." When the freshman prodigy class showed up, the freshmen who were blocked from entering the training room suddenly felt empowered. The upperclassmen guarding the door became somewhat timid upon seeing Li Moyu and Luo Yongjian at the forefront. And their arrogance faded from their faces. "Why won't you let the new students in?" Luo Yongjian challenged a burly upperclassman, showing no fear despite the other's intimidating build. The burly upperclassman faltered, his tone becoming more conciliatory. "Junior, the training room is too crowded right now. If we let more people in, nobody will be able to train properly." Luo Yongjian glanced inside the training room, saw it was fairly full but not crammed, and immediately frowned. "How is it full inside? There are still a lot of empty spots, aren't there? It doesn't look too full for now, but once all of you come in, it really will be tight," the burly upperclassman said with a sheepish smile. Though he was an upperclassman, and had 2 more years of training than these freshmen, his strength was decent, giving him an absolute advantage. But this advantage was only valid in the face of ordinary freshmen. In front of top prodigies like Li Moyu and Luo Yongjian, who had biological levels of common tier 7 and 6 respectively, stronger than many sophomore and junior upperclassmen, this advantage was practically non-existent. The burly upperclassman was a junior himself, with 2 more years of training than Li Moyu and Luo Yongjian. However, his biological level was only at the peak of common tier 5. As a result, he had no confidence facing Li Moyu and Luo Yongjian and couldn't help but wear a sheepish grin. Despite the burly upperclassman's conciliatory attitude, Luo Yongjian didn't buy it. He turned to the freshman behind him and declared, "Come on, follow me inside. Don't mind these bullies who are all bark and no bite at the door." Chapter 323, 199, Student Union? Exactly, the Student Union, _2. After finishing speaking, he pushed the senior students blocking the way and opened a path for the freshmen behind him to enter. Just at that moment, a tall figure suddenly appeared in front of Luo Yongjian, grabbed him by the collar in one swift move, lifted him up, and with a fierce swing, threw him out of the training room. Luo Yongjian was completely unable to react and was sent flying out, landing with a plop on the corridor outside the training room. Before noon, at 12 o'clock, freshmen are forbidden from entering the training room. The tall figure said slowly as he walked out of the training room, addressing the crowd of freshmen outside. Some freshmen recognized the tall figure and whispered, "It's Guo Heidong, the Vice President of the External Relations Department of the Student Council, with a biological level of ordinary level 8 peak, ranked 156 on the peak list." Hearing this, the surrounding freshmen instantly lost their courage. The confidence that had been bolstered by the brilliant students of the first-year honors class vanished without a trace. In their minds, facing such a strong figure of ordinary level 8 peak, not to mention the top talents from the first-year honors class, even the freshman King Wang Linziken would have had to frown and take the bitter pill. However, Li Moyu was rather stubborn. Faced with Guo Heidong, whose biological level was as high as ordinary level 8 peak, he didn't feel a trace of fear in his heart. What he felt was even more indignation and anger. He locked eyes with Guo Heidong and loudly questioned, "The Student Council is an organization meant to maintain school discipline. As a member of the council, you are bullying freshmen. What is the meaning of this?" Guo Heidong replied calmly, "I am maintaining order. The training room is too crowded now, letting more people in could lead to chaos. As a member of the Student Council, it is my duty to control the number of people in the training room and prevent unnecessary turmoil. Too many people inside? Where is it overcrowded? How come I see quite a few empty spots?" Li Moyu asked with great dissatisfaction. Guo Heidong couldn't be bothered to explain and simply said, "If I say you can't go in, you can't. If you're unsatisfied, you can go to the Student Council or the Academic Affairs Office to complain about me." After speaking, he turned back toward the training room, intending to close the training room's door, not allowing the freshmen outside to enter. Seeing this, Li Moyu's anger surged. He took a quick step forward and kicked the door that was about to close with a strong kick. Then, he turned around and shouted to the crowd of freshmen behind him, "Everyone, charge with me!" After speaking, he was the first to rush into the training room. Luo Yongjian, who had just been thrown out, dusted off the dust from his body and immediately followed in Li Moyu's footsteps toward the training room. With these two leading the charge, the freshmen waiting outside also charged, wanting to show the seniors inside a lesson even rabbits bite when they are cornered. Bang! Suddenly, a loud collision noise erupted. Li Moyu, who was the first to charge into the training room, was instantly thrown out, tumbling over the corridor's wall and falling from the second floor, crashing heavily into the green belt downstairs. Bang! The same noise followed. Luo Yongjian, the second one to enter, was also thrown out of the training room, crashing heavily into the green belt below, curling up from the pain, his face twisted in agony. Seeing that both of them were thrown out, the freshmen who had followed them stopped in their tracks, instinctively stepped back a few paces, and dared not approach the training room's door again. Guo Heidong walked out of the training room, looking displeased, and warned, "Anyone who dares to step one foot into the training room's door and doesn't follow the student council's instructions, the fate of those two just now will be your own." At these words, many freshmen chickened out. They no longer dared to block the training room's door. They turned and went downstairs to leave, planning to return after 12 o'clock to train in the training room. They would rather sacrifice their lunch break than offend these seniors. "Let's go, we're going to the Academic Affairs Office to file a complaint, we can't let Guo Heidong get away with this," Ma Ziwei said, grabbing Shen Qinghan's hand as they rushed towards the administration building to find her father Ma Zhenhe to handle the matter. Not to use a dean father, that would be something only a fool would do. Guo Heidong was here flexing his power, using his position as the son of a dean to bully the weaker. However, halfway there, she changed direction with Shen Qinghan in tow and said, "I just remembered my dad went on a business trip today, to find your Zi Chen." Outside the training room, a girl walked up to Guo Heidong's side, her face filled with worry as she said, "Brother Dong, that Li Moyu is Li Yujin's own younger brother, won't your actions against him just now?" Guo Heidong cut her off with a dismissive look. "The strength of our club president has progressed further over the winter break, a mere Li Yujin is nothing to be afraid of." "Really?" The girl's face lit up with anticipation. "I can't wait to see our president take revenge on Li Yujin at the University League's martial stage." Just then, Li Moyu, who had just been kicked down, leaped up and landed on the surrounding wall. His body and head were covered in leaves, making him appear somewhat disheveled. But while he looked disheveled, his tone was anything but. He glared at Guo Heidong, angrily saying, "Brat, your worthless student council president dares to compare himself with my brother." Bang! Another sound erupted. Li Moyu was kicked down the building again. This kick was much heavier than the first one. Li Moyu curled up in pain, his face edged with agony. "Brother Yu, this bastard is bullying us, showing no martial virtue. Let's go, we're going to find Brother Chen." After saying that, Luo Yongjian ran toward the direction of the research institute. Li Moyu quickly got up too, clutching his stomach and following Luo Yongjian's pace. A true man doesn't suffer immediate losses. "If I can't beat you, I'll find someone stronger." Watching the two retreating figures, Guo Heidong shook his head. This year's batch of freshmen in the genius class is really pathetic, incapable of winning on their own, they call for help, it's laughable. The girl also said, "Indeed, these freshmen really are pathetic. When we were freshmen, weren't we also suppressed by the seniors? But we had backbone, we held our breath and recovered our standing on our own. Who would go looking for help to fight their battles for them?" The Research Institute for Pure Bloods. Lin Zikan was in the lab, together with Lu Juanmu, researching methods for opening meridian channels. Song Yuan was also there. While researching, Song Yuan's phone suddenly vibrated. She took out the phone and saw that it was a message from the bank urging her to repay her loan. As soon as she saw this message, she felt numb all over and complained, "I'm so broke, cultivating the blood tempering technique consumes too many resources. My meager salary just doesn't cut it. I recently took out a loan and now they're hounding me to repay it. So annoying." Then, looking at Lin Zikin and Lu Chuanwu, she asked, "Do either of you have any good plans for making money? I'm really in need." Lu Chuanwu said, "The creator installed an ATM between everyone's legs, you could go activate it." Song Yuan gave him a derisive glance, expressing her irritation, "Get lost, do you think I'm like you? Going out every night to sell my body, I am a decent and virtuous woman." Lu Chuanwu chuckled, "Then go get a boyfriend. Just ask for a few million in betrothal gifts after a month, take the money and split, then move on to the next one." Song Yuan was speechless, "Isn't that fraud?" Lu Chuanwu replied, "Who told you it's fraud? It's a voluntary gift, go for it, a former flame of mine got rich that way, and nothing went wrong." Song Yuan replied, "Fraud is fraud, I am a law-abiding citizen and I won't do such things." As she spoke, she turned to Lin Zikin and said, "How about you, Zi Chen? Got any good money-making schemes?" Lin Zikin shook his head, "I don't either." In the past, his way of making money was to take on off-campus missions for credits. But now, he didn't dare to go out, fearing the attacks from the divine plant cult. P.S. Basket out, asking for monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 324, 200. Overturn the whole student council. Make a name for the pure-blood human path. It was only a moment before Shen Qinghan and the others, who had appeared outside, ran to the entrance of the research institute. Only Shen Qinghan came into the institute, while the other three waited outside. As soon as Shen Qinghan came in, she found Lin Zikin and explained the situation to him. She said a group of senior students led by the Deputy Minister of the Student Union's External Affairs Department had occupied the training room and wouldn't allow freshmen to use it, even resorting to physical violence. She asked him what should be done about it. Before Lin Zikin could speak, Song Yuan beside him said, "What else could be done? Definitely call your Zi Chen over to beat them up." Next door, Lu Chuanwu said, "Do I hear Ma Zhenhe's daughter's voice?" Shen Qinghan, principal, President Ma's daughter, Ma Ziwei, the genius Li Moyu's younger brother from Beijing University, and a male classmate from my class are all waiting outside the door. They didn't come into the institute because of their status. I see. Lu Chuanwu nodded his head. Lin Zikin didn't waste any time and said, "Since those three classmates of yours are waiting at the door, let's go over now and not keep them waiting too long." After speaking, he and Shen Qinghan walked downstairs and left the research institute, where they saw the three waiting outside. Upon seeing the arrival of his backup, Luo Yongjian immediately said with a furious face, "Brother Chen, that Deputy Minister of the Student Union's External Affairs Department is such a beast. Despite being a student officer, he's leading the bullying against us freshmen. Go all out on him later, beat him until his mother wouldn't recognize him." Luo Yongjian was full of confidence in Lin Zikin, believing that an ordinary 8th order peak senior student stood no chance against the strongest freshman king in the school's history, and lasting 3 rounds would be a success. Li Moyu, beside him, also fumed with anger and said to Lin Zikin, "Damn, that jerk just kicked me twice, later, make him cough up blood, and I'll reward your novel with 10 million. Lin Zikin's eyes lit up, "Really? I'll reward you right now." Li Moyu, saying this, took out his phone from his pocket, opened Kidian Reading, and was about to recharge 10 million to reward Lin Zikin's novel King Mei, the white-faced gigolo behind the goddess. Seeing this, Lin Zikin hurriedly stopped him, "Don't reward the novel, just transfer the money directly to me." He didn't want to share 50-50 with the platform, he wanted to pocket the full 10 million for himself. Li Moyu didn't think too much of it and just said opulently, "Tell me your bank account number, I'll transfer it to you now. Lin Zikin didn't say much, simply giving his bank account number to Li Moyu. Then, quite quickly, he received the 10 million transfer from Li Moyu. Luo Yongjian's eyes practically popped out of his head. He had never seen so much cash in his life. After the money was in the account, Lin Zikin wasted no time, immediately rushing to the training room with the others. Second floor of the gymnasium, training room. Inside, the senior students were training while chatting and laughing with each other. One of them, a burly young man with a buzz cut, shook his head and said, "This year's freshmen really aren't up to snuff, their brains don't seem to work properly, always wanting to butt heads with the seniors. It's normal for freshmen to be weaker than seniors, isn't it? Knowing they can't beat the seniors, they should learn to keep their tails between their legs. When the seniors graduate and it's their turn to become seniors, they can take back what they lost from the new batch of freshmen. Wouldn't that solve everything? It's just too stupid, I can't even watch it." A long-haired young man beside him agreed, saying, "Indeed, it's kind of funny how stupid they are." As they were talking, suddenly, the door to the training room was kicked open with a bang. "Damn it, Guo Heidong, come out here, your Grandpa Li is back." Li Moyu walked in, bragging and shouting. Luo Yongjian quickly stepped to his side, shouting arrogantly, "Guo Heidong, did you hear my brother Moyu? Get out here!" After the two of them finished shouting, the rest Lin Zikin, Shen Qinghan and Ma Ziwei casually walked in from outside. It wasn't that these three were intentionally making a dramatic entrance, but Li Moyu and Luo Yongjian had rushed ahead too quickly. Upon entering the gymnasium, the pair dashed all the way to the training room door, forcefully breaking in, as if they couldn't wait to reclaim their pride right there and then. They were just like the brash henchmen of a boss, specialized in kicking down doors and shouting threats. "And here I thought you found someone serious to back you up, but it turns out you just brought your freshman king," Guo Heidong said as he leisurely walked out from one of the compartments in the back, accompanied by a woman with golden, wavy hair. This woman was the same student who had earlier mocked the freshman for lacking backbone in Guo Heidong's company. The moment Guo Heidong appeared, Lin Zikin instantly sensed his biological pressure. Pretty strong, with a biological level reaching an ordinary 8th order peak. He also sensed two strong exotic beast auras from him. One was the Qi blood family's demonic eye giant ape. The other was the mental family's shadow bat. Double cultivation of Qi blood and psyche, developing comprehensively. Having analyzed Guo Heidong's attributes, Lin Zikin felt he was suitable to be Shen Qinghan's whetstone. So he looked towards Shen Qinghan beside him and calmly said to her, "You take on this deputy minister of the Student Union's External Affairs Department, and remember to make him cough up blood." "Okay, I got it." Shen Qinghan nodded and stepped forward to approach Guo Heidong. Li Moyu, Ma Ziwei and Luo Yongjian were momentarily stunned. Guo Heidong was a ferocious figure with a biological level as high as an ordinary 8th order peak, and they had Shen Qinghan, with only a 6th order biological level, to face him. Were they sure this wasn't a joke? Chapter 325, 200. Overturn the whole student council. Make a name for the pure-blood human path, _2. All three of them had no idea that Shen Qinghan had already evolved to a common 8th order. After all, at the start of the winter break, Shen Qinghan's biological level was only a common 6th order. Who would have thought that someone could evolve 2 levels in just one winter break? "You're sending her out to fight me?" Guo Heidong also laughed, his laughter tinged with annoyance and rage. He was a strong individual with a biological level reaching the peak of common 8th order. "Sending such a weak and delicate girl to spar with me, who are they looking down on?" Thinking this, he spoke to the lady with golden wavy hair beside him, "You go take care of her. Leave it to me." The golden wavy-haired lady confidently asserted. With her biological level reaching common 7th order, she had the confidence to beat any first-year female student. Shen Jr., when you stepped in as a substitute during the fight you were quite fierce against the seniors. Not knowing at all how to respect your seniors, today your senior sister will teach you how to respect the seniors." The moment her words fell, the lady with the golden waves instantly dashed forward with a burst of golden light, speeding towards Shen Qinghan. The sprint was quick, but Shen Qinghan felt it wasn't anywhere close to her own speed. Based on that, she judged the other's chi blood strength to be far inferior to her own. Therefore, without even resorting to the abilities of the Azure Jellyfish King or the Water Butterfly, she simply stepped forward and lashed out with her leg at the golden wavy-haired lady who was rushing towards her. In the midst of her high-speed sprint, the golden wavy-haired lady didn't have time to react, merely seeing a slender beautiful leg suddenly appear before her eyes. The next second, they all heard a loud bang. Shen Qinghan's slender straight leg harshly swept across the chest of the woman with golden waves, sending her flying with one kick. After roughly 2 seconds, the figure that had been sent flying smacked into the ground with a plop, curling up in pain, her entire face contorted with agony. Witnessing this scene, everyone in the training room was shocked. No one had expected that the seemingly weak and delicate Shen Qinghan could unleash such formidable power with a single kick. Looks can be deceiving indeed. "Qinghan, your legs are so slender, how can they release such terrifying power?" Li Moyu stared incredulously at Shen Qinghan's legs. Shen Qinghan answered, "It's the enhancement from practicing the blood tempering technique." Hearing this, Ma Ziwei's heart stirred with emotion. The pure blood human path. I must follow the pure blood human path. I'll find time to eliminate all the exotic beast genes in my body. If Shen Qinghan can become this strong from training in the blood tempering technique, then surely I can too. While Ma Ziwei was lost in thought, Luo Yongjian said to Shen Qinghan, "Sister Han, you should have swept her face just now. A single kick would have turned her into a pig's head. That's how tough you need to be with these seniors." Shen Qinghan ignored him and looked towards Guo Heidong, saying, "It's your turn." Stepping forward, Guo Heidong spoke, "I underestimated you, but that kick of yours just now wouldn't even scratch me." As soon as his words ended, he activated the 2 exotic beast genes within his body with a thought. His already robust physique swelled by 70%, his face instantly covered in what seemed to be rodent-like fur. At the same time, following suit, Shen Qinghan also activated within her the Azure Jellyfish King gene and the Water Butterfly gene with a mere thought. Her originally pitch-black hair instantly turned a shiny azure blue, breathtakingly beautiful. Her originally clear, peach blossom-shaped eyes grew even more water-laden, with ripples seemingly undulating within them. Buzz! A sound of tearing through the air was heard. Opting to seize the initiative, Shen Qinghan took an instantaneous step and dashed toward Guo Heidong. As she charged, she thought and manipulated Guo Heidong's chi blood from afar, plunging his circulatory strength into turmoil. At the same time, her eyes gleamed with a hint of azure blue, attempting to assault Guo Heidong with an illusion technique. She hadn't yet mastered how to wield the abilities of the water butterfly and wasn't sure if her attack would be successful. On the other side, Guo Heidong's brow suddenly furrowed. He found the chi blood within his body becoming chaotic and felt dizzy, his vision starting to spin. His wide breadth of experience quickly led him to realize that Shen Qinghan was controlling the chi blood inside his body and launching a mental attack against him. Faced with this situation, he chose to further activate the exotic beast genes inside his body, strengthening his chi blood and mental fortitude. Then, bracing against Shen Qinghan's dual attack of chi blood and spirit, Lin Zikan suddenly thrust his calf against the floor, and with a buzz, he charged towards her. In just the blink of an eye, the two were locked in combat. Shen Qinghan favored using her legs, lifting her calf and fiercely sweeping it towards Guo Heidong's throat. Guo Heidong did not dodge or flinch, directly meeting the sweeping leg with a fierce punch. Bang! A loud collision sounded. Shen Qinghan's leg swept against Guo Heidong's fist, failing to push him back but instead causing her own calf to fracture from the impact. In a flash, a piercing pain swept through her body, causing her to involuntarily furrow her brows and her leg to tremble slightly. Although it was painful, she did not back away. Instead, she endured the intense pain, retracted her leg as quickly as possible, performed a nimble turn, and instantly circled to Guo Heidong's back. She then launched a close-range, fierce attack on his heart and brain with her Qi blood spirit attacks. The moment her attack took effect, Guo Heidong had no idea what had just happened. He felt his mind go blank for an instant, followed immediately by a sweet taste in his throat as he uncontrollably spewed out a large mouthful of fresh blood. Similarly, blood seeped from his ears, eyes, nostrils, and the corners of his mouth, presenting a shocking sight. Seeing her double strike effective, Shen Qinghan did not waste this fleeting opportunity. While Guo Heidong was still disoriented, she swiftly lifted her right arm and chopped down fiercely on the back of his head with the edge of her hand. Bang! A crisp sound emitted. Shen Qinghan's hand chop landed precisely on the back of Guo Heidong's head, the powerful impact instantly knocking him unconscious, his body falling limply to the ground, motionless. He was merely concussed into unconsciousness, still breathing, not dead on the spot. After all, Guo Heidong's biological level was higher compared to Shen Qinghan, and he had also fused with the genes of the demon eye giant ape. For Shen Qinghan to kill him with one strike was virtually impossible. That was also why Shen Qinghan dared to strike him so fiercely. What's going on? The vice chair of the Student Council's External Relations Department. Defeated by a freshman girl like that. It's daylight madness. The moment Guo Heidong fell to the ground without getting up, the training room burst into astonished exclamations. Everyone couldn't believe that Guo Heidong, a fully activated demon eye giant ape gene recipient, nearly 3 meters tall, had been defeated by a delicate-looking first-year female student. It was too sci-fi, too fantastical. Lin Zikan, looking at the incapacitated Guo Heidong, suddenly had a feeling that all the students at the school were mere ants. Even the deans were ants. No. He must not have this contemptuous mindset towards the weak. It wasn't conducive to survival. Every opponent must be taken seriously. Back in the coastal forest, the reason he could kill the masked man without sustaining any injuries was by exploiting the latter's underestimation of the weaker. With that in mind, Lin Zikan declared to everyone around, starting now, she and I represent the pure-blood human path, and we will openly challenge the entire student council on the first floor of the gymnasium. After speaking, he walked downstairs with Shen Qinghan, leaving behind a crowd full of life's uncertainties and disbelief. A moment to collect their thoughts. Everyone in the training room was shocked. Had this newcomer king gone mad? After defeating only an ordinary 8th order at the peak, he dared to be so arrogant? Keep in mind, there were 3 advanced-level creatures in the student council. The president was profound and unfathomable, possibly even high-level 3rd rank. P.S. Begging for monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 326, 201, Student Union? Exactly, the Student Union. Gymnasium. First floor. Lin Zikan led Shen Qinghan towards the central martial stage. After stopping by the side of the martial stage, he had Shen Qinghan stand on the stage while he stood at the edge. He planned to let Shen Qinghan go first. When Shen Qinghan couldn't handle it anymore, he would take over. Before long, students who had come to watch the spectacle crowded around the martial stage. There were several hundred of them. They were all students who had class or studied in the gymnasium during this time slot. They gathered in 2s and 3s, engaging in conversations about Shen Qinghan on the stage. Her hair is so beautiful, and her eyes look so clear and lovely, she's more beautiful than any actress on the TV screen. I noticed her during the trials at the beginning of the school year, she was already this beautiful, a true school belle. You might not believe this, but just now, upstairs in the training room, she defeated the vice president of the External Affairs Department in 1 round. Are you kidding? During the trial at the beginning of the school year, I saw her being chased and beaten by a few girls from the ordinary class, and now you're telling me she defeated a vice president in one round, just after one semester. If I tell you one more thing, you'll think I'm joking even more. She, like Lin Zikin, follows the pure-blood human path. She's activated her exotic beast gene, turned her hair azure blue, and you're telling me she's following the pure-blood human path. Really, I'm not lying to you. She said this upstairs in the training room herself. She mentioned she has a special constitution that allows her to enslave exotic beast genes, rather than needing to fuse with them like we do. So many people are discussing me. Shen Qinghan, standing alone on the martial stage, felt a bit nervous listening to the constant murmur of conversations surrounding her. There were too many people below. And almost everyone was discussing her, their gazes fixating on her, making her feel quite uncomfortable. However, she was only initially nervous and uncomfortable. After a while, she adapted. She became calm as still water. She could automatically block out the noise of the discussions below. Below the stage, Lin Zikin watched Shen Qinghan on the stage. Seeing that she was only a bit nervous when she first got on the stage and quickly adjusted her mentality to calm down, he felt very comforted. The little girl was getting better, no longer getting nervous over every little thing like before. Administration building. Inside a conference hall, Zhou Suihong, as the president of the student council, was holding a meeting for the key student council members. He summarized the achievements of the previous semester and set the goals for this one. It took over half an hour to cover these two topics. Zhou Suihong turned off the projector, leaning on the podium, and said to the people below, "We've covered past achievements and future goals. Now, let's talk about the quality of this year's freshmen. Everyone, if you think there are any freshmen qualified to join the student council, bring them up now. Give us a brief introduction, and we'll see if they meet the standards for joining the student council. I feel that the guy from Evolution Class 2 named Liu Xiangbei isn't bad. His biological level has reached Common Tier 5, and he has fused with the advanced gene of the magical eye ape. Li Guang from the Mech God class, I think he's very suitable to join the student council. That Gao Fan from Evolution Class 5, I think we can recruit him into the council." The student council members proposed one after another who was worthy of joining the council. All suggestions were for newcomers from the ordinary classes. The geniuses from the talent class all qualified to join without need for recommendation. Half an hour later, the recommendations were over, with over 20 people proposed. All were top students from the ordinary classes, their strengths no less than those of the talent class newcomers. Zhou Suihong asked his secretary to record these names, then looked at the student council members below and said, "We've finished recommending new members. Now, it's time to recommend candidates for council president. Who do you all think among the freshmen is worthy of being groomed as a candidate for council president?" The president candidates of Shanghai University are usually predetermined early in their freshman year. Choose 3 to 5 people for focused cultivation. In 3 years, whoever performs the most outstandingly can become the president of the student council. Li Moyu is probably the most suitable, as the younger brother of Li Yujin. His talent is top-notch, and he isn't lacking resources due to his family's wealth. Ma Ziwei is also very good, as the daughter of the dean, she was exposed to administration from an early age and likely has the best management skills. That long-haired guy named Luo Yongjian can be considered too. Shen Qinghan is worth considering, provided that she can change her personality. The student council members discussed and brought up these 4 candidates, one after another. All 4 were among the top 5 in the newcomer competition. Whether in terms of talent or strength, they were among the strongest in the new students and had the potential to be the council president. As for Lin Zikin, the rookie king, not one student council member mentioned his name. Lin Zikin's strength was unquestionably the best among the freshmen. However, Lin Zikin didn't follow the pure-blood human path, so everyone was pessimistic about his future. Another point was that Lin Zikin's attitude towards the student council was very unfriendly, and the members had a significant bias against him. President, I think Lin Zikin is the most suitable candidate to be groomed for council president, said a short-haired girl from one of the most remote seats below after a moment's hesitation. She was a graduate of Shanghai High School, 2 levels above Lin Zikin. Chapter 327, 201, Student Union? Exactly, the Student Union, _2. Back in the 9th grade, she was a diehard fan of Lin Zikin. Even now, despite Lin Zikin constantly targeting the student council and becoming their enemy, she still remained his diehard fan. Jia, state your reasons why you think Lin Zikin is the most suitable candidate for the role of president in training. Zhou Suihong looked at the girl and said. The girl stood up from her seat and answered with clear reasoning, President, Lin Zikin's strength is unmatched and ranks first among the new students. Moreover, he is assertive, ruthless, and not verbose, possessing a commanding presence. Most importantly, his external conditions are exceptional, and he has a distinguished aura. Based on these 3 points, I believe he is especially suited to be nurtured as the next student council president. After listening to the girl's words, Zhou Suihong fell silent for a moment. Then, he spoke slowly, Lin Zikin is not suitable to be a president in training. Why, President? The girl expressed her incomprehension, unwilling to accept the fact that Lin Zikin was not suitable to be a president in training. She had been looking forward to Lin Zikin becoming a president in training so that as the head of the personnel department, she could interact with him daily and engage in friendly exchanges. Zhou Suihong looked at her and explained, firstly, Lin Zikin walks the path of a pure-blood human, and its future prospects are not clear. Cultivating him might end up being a wasted effort, a futile waste of resources. Secondly, when he has conflicts with senior students, he has never thought of reconciling, directly taking action against them and opposing the student council. This shows that he does not understand the intricacies of human relations and is not tactful enough, which makes it easy for him to offend others. Just from these 2 points, it's clear that he is not suitable to be a president in training and lacks any cultivation value. After saying this, Zhou Suihong continued indifferently, given the above, the candidates for this term's president in training are temporarily set to be Li Moyu, Ma Ziwei, Luo Yongjian, and Shen Qinghan. No sooner had he spoken these words. Suddenly, a tall girl burst through the door, an urgent look on her face as she said, President, something terrible has happened. The new student, Wang Linzikin, and his girlfriend, Shen Qinghan, are currently setting up a ring on the first floor of the sports hall, boldly challenging our entire student council. Before this, our External Relations Department's Vice Minister, Guo Heidong, was defeated by Shen Qinghan in a single round during a practice session, causing him to fall to the ground, bleeding from 7 orifices, and he is still unconscious to this moment, having been urgently taken to the infirmary. As the girl reported this, a deathly silence fell upon the scene. After everyone had finished listening to the girl's report, the student leaders in the conference room began to gradually realize what was happening, and their eyes widened in astonishment. Guo Heidong, whose biological level is as high as an ordinary 8th order peak, was taken down by Shen Qinghan in 1 round. What exactly is going on? Xiaoling, are you sure you're not mistaken? Could it be that Lin Zikin was the one who took action, and you are mistaking him for Shen Qinghan? Everyone found it hard to believe the girl's words, or to believe that Shen Qinghan had such strength, feeling that there must be some misunderstanding. Hearing everyone's reactions, the girl started to doubt herself as well. I'm not very clear on the specifics, as I wasn't in the practice room at the time, but on the first floor sparring with others. It could have been Lin Zikin who took the action. However, Lin Zikin, along with Shen Qinghan setting up a platform to challenge our student council on the first floor of the gym, is something I witnessed with my own eyes, absolutely audacious. Having heard the girl's report, A young man in the conference room slammed his hand on the table and stood up furiously, exclaiming, "This is preposterous, the new king has become lawless, just a freshman and he dares to be so confrontational with the entire student council." A young man in a tank top sitting next to him also spoke up angrily, "This Linziken has been constantly challenging the authority of our student council since he arrived at Shan University, undermining the rights of us veterans. We must deal with him, or everyone will start to think that the student council is afraid of him." The head of the External Relations Department, a girl with hair dyed fiery red, said with a grim expression, "Linziken is too presumptuous. President, I'll deal with him right now." After saying this, the red-haired girl stood up and jumped out the window, moving at high speed toward the sports hall. Since Linziken dared to attack a member of her External Relations Department, she was determined to take revenge and show Linziken the consequences of messing with her people. She was an ordinary 9th-rank powerhouse, having merged 3 exotic beast genes. Her strength was formidable, capable of fighting 10 Guo Haidongs at once, and she didn't consider Linziken a threat at all. "Come on, let's go see for ourselves." With that call to action, the student leaders in the meeting room began to jump out the window one after another, hurrying to the sports hall with the greatest speed. Zhou Suihong, as the president, turned to his female secretary and said, "Take me over." "Okay." The female secretary nodded. Then, with the thought, she activated the anti-gravity propulsion devices on her knees, waist, and chest, floating horizontally in mid-air, face down. When Zhou Suihong saw the secretary had adjusted her position, he lightly jumped onto her metal frame, standing as if on a skateboard. Feeling the president had steadied himself, the female secretary activated the anti-airflow devices in her soles and palms the moment she got the chance, and with a buzz, she flew out the window towards the gymnasium. The gymnasium. First floor. Shen Qinghan was on the stage, Linziken below it. Both of them stood on the same side, facing the gymnasium's main door, waiting for the student council's powerhouses to come crashing in. "Linziken, don't think that just because you're the strongest newcomer in the school's history, you can be so arrogant. You'll regret disrespecting the student council sooner or later." Below the stage, a young man shouted at Linziken with a dissatisfied face. He was a sophomore from the ordinary evolution class who had only joined the student council this year. He felt a strong sense of belonging to the council and couldn't stand Linziken's disrespect. Linziken glanced at him and said to Shen Qinghan on the stage, "Shut him up." Upon hearing this, Shen Qinghan immediately used the abilities of the Azure Jellyfish King, remotely controlling the Qi blood flow in the young man's body from afar and plunging him into a state of Qi blood chaos. The young man's biological level wasn't high, just the peak of ordinary 6th order. Under Shen Qinghan's assault, he immediately fell to the ground with blood flowing from all orifices and fell into a coma. Everyone present was utterly shocked at the sight. Shen Qinghan was just a freshman girl. How could her methods be so powerful? Just then, someone in the crowd shouted, "Look, the student council people have arrived." The president, the vice president, the heads of the disciplinary department, the external affairs department, and the heads of various other student council departments are all here. Damn, this is going to be a good show. As the student council's cadre appeared, the entire gymnasium instantly burst into commotion. At the same time, Linziken and Shen Qinghan both looked towards the gym's main entrance, eyeing the student council cadre walking towards the martial stage. Among them, Shen Qinghan was a bit nervous, instinctively stepping back to get closer to Linziken below the stage. Noticing her nervousness, Linziken said to her softly, "Don't be nervous." "Yeah, I'm not nervous," Shen Qinghan said as calmly as she could. At the moment her voice faded. A striking red figure suddenly leapt high from the crowd of student council cadre, covering a distance of dozens of meters. Linziken recognized the gene the person had integrated. It was related to fire. Linziken glanced at the person, ordinary 9th rank. "Linziken, Han Han, you're up." Seeing Shen Qinghan, the head of the External Affairs Department was cautious. The deputy head Guo Heidong had been shattered by her. On the stage, Shen Qinghan fought a bit toughly, but still won. Shocking! Incredible! How has Shen Qinghan become so strong? Pure blood human path. Hey, they say that Shen Qinghan is so strong because she has a special physique. What about Lin Zikan then? Does he also have some special physique? Isn't it obvious? Of course, he does. Otherwise, how could he become the newcomer king? What kind of physique does he have? It seems like apart from his physical body showing strength, he doesn't have any other special traits. Just having a strong physical body is enough. Why does he need anything else special? Haven't you ever heard of physical sanctification? Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan are now probably the strongest among the newcomers. Both of them are following the pure blood human path. It's incredible. By the way, wasn't it said that the pure blood human path has no future? What's the deal with these two? P.S. Begging for monthly and recommendation tickets. Chapter 328, 202, Student Council? Merely ants. It's Zheng Xinran, the head of the Public Relations Department. Ranked 38th on the peak list. Her biological level has reached an ordinary 9th order, and she's a 3-time genetic integrator. I wonder if Shen Qinghan can win. Of course she can win. Didn't you see how badly Guo Heidong was beaten? He was killed instantly with just one strike, bleeding so badly it was horrifying. The moment the red-haired lady stepped onto the stage, such a buzz of discussion immediately arose in the crowd. Listening to the voices from below, Zheng Xinran slightly frowned, her expression carrying a trace of disbelief. Earlier in the meeting room, as soon as that girl entered, she said that Guo Heidong was defeated by Shen Qinghan in 1 round, blood pouring from his 7 orifices as he fell to the ground and didn't get up, falling into a coma. After hearing it, Zheng Xinran thought that girl must have been mistaken. She knew of Shen Qinghan, a beautiful freshman from the genius class, frequently discussed on the school forum, known as the campus belle. She did not believe that a freshman girl, whose appearance was so frail and delicate, could defeat Guo Heidong, whose biological level was at the peak of an ordinary 8th order. Not to mention an instant kill in 1 round. She thought Guo Heidong must have lost to Lin Zikan, and then when the news reached the girls, it got mixed up and was said he lost to Shen Qinghan. But now, listening to these voices below, she realized she was wrong. The one who defeated Guo Heidong was truly this delicate-looking freshman girl before her. What exactly is going on? How did this weak-looking little sister manage to defeat Dong in 1 round? Zheng Xinran furrowed her brows tightly, sizing up Shen Qinghan opposite her while feeling extremely puzzled. It wasn't just her who was confused. Many who had not witnessed Shen Qinghan's instant defeat of Guo Heidong in the training room felt the same puzzlement, completely at a loss for explanation. Junior Shen, I heard you punched out a deputy head of my public relations department. Zheng Xinran looked at Shen Qinghan with an expressionless face and asked. Shen Qinghan, sparing with her words, responded, "MHM." Zheng Xinran nodded upon hearing this. Then, her mind stirred, activating the exotic beast gene within her body, her hair growing rapidly, each strand turning fire red, while her skin became flush, emitting wave after wave of heat. Those around the martial stage could clearly sense the chi blood surging within her body, each face showing shock. Such strong chi blood! It feels like she can even externally release her chi blood. This head of the public relations department, in terms of physical strength, seems to be approaching a high-level creature. Junior Shen, let me see your strength. As her voice fell, Zheng Xinran immediately bounded towards Shen Qinghan with a dash, raising her muscular calf to deliver a fierce sweep. Shen Qinghan reacted very swiftly, instantly sidestepping to avoid the incoming kick. However, the speed of her sidestep was too slow. As she had only shifted halfway, Zheng Xinran's leg had already reached her, bringing a burst of the air exploding sound, aiming right for the throat beneath her neck. Knowing she couldn't dodge in time, Shen Qinghan instantly raised her arms to block the powerful kick. Bang! Zheng Xinran's sturdy calf collided heavily with Shen Qinghan's forearm, accompanied by a faint crack sound. The bones in Shen Qinghan's arm fractured. In an instant, a pain too intense to bear invaded her brain, turning her pretty face pale. Buzz! Another air-blasting sound rang out. As Zheng Xinran retracted her leg, she immediately swung a punch towards Shen Qinghan's face, aiming directly for her delicate nose. She wanted to shatter her nasal bone with a single punch, leaving her face bloodied. Just as the fist was about to land, Zheng Xinran suddenly felt the qi blood inside her body surge wildly, her brain swelling with discomfort. The punch she threw consequently weakened significantly and was easily blocked by Shen Qinghan. Shen Qinghan didn't miss the opportunity to counterattack. The moment she blocked Zheng Xinran's fist, she immediately struck back with a punch to Zheng Xinran's left chest. Then, she quickly increased her consumption of spiritual power, amplifying the abilities of the blue spirit jellyfish king, her hand pressing against the chest controlling the qi blood in Zheng Xinran's body to rush directly into her heart. The next second, Zheng Xinran's heart burst from the ceaseless influx of qi blood, tearing several shocking fissures, and immediately stopped beating. However, Zheng Xinran had not died. Her consciousness merely blurred, and her limbs completely lost control as she collapsed to the ground, barely alive. At the level of an ordinary ninth order, as long as one hasn't been crazily ravaged by an opponent infusing a heavy dose of blood qi power, even if one's head explodes, they will not immediately die. Is it over? The head of the public relations department actually lost. How is this possible? All the spectators below were full of shock. Shen Qinghan had defeated a 3-time genetic integrator of the ordinary ninth order in just 2 rounds, winning thoroughly and cleanly. It was utterly inconceivable, almost beyond belief. What's going on? How did Sister Han suddenly become so strong? On the right side below the stage, Luo Yongjian, looking at the department head lying on the stage and then at Shen Qinghan, had a face full of life's doubt, unable to comprehend why Shen Qinghan had suddenly become so outrageously strong. He clearly remembered how, half a year ago during the school commencement trials, Shen Qinghan was chased and beaten by girls from a regular class. And just half a year later, Shen Qinghan became strong enough to instantly take down a public relations department head ranked 38th on the peak list with 1 punch, which was too illogical. She must have followed the pure-blood human path. That's the only way Qinghan could have improved so fast. Chapter 329, 202, Student Union? Mere Ants _2. Ma Ziwei looked at Shen Qinghan on the stage, her breathing a bit rapid as she said, "We shouldn't have taken the path of genetic fusion right away. We should have tried the pure-blood human path first." She was stimulated by the formidable power that Shen Qinghan had just demonstrated on stage, and her mind was completely filled with thoughts of the pure-blood human path. Now, she was incredibly eager to switch to the pure-blood human path in her heart. Li Moyu analyzed calmly, "I think, Qinghan's strength isn't much related to the pure-blood human path. Look at the external relations minister on the stage, her chest wasn't penetrated, you can't even see a dent. This means, the punch Qinghan just threw at her chest was very ordinary in strength. The reason the external relations minister was knocked down by Qinghan's punch, I guess, is mostly because Qinghan used the power of the blue spirit jellyfish to burst the minister's blood vessels or heart." Luo Yongjian nodded after hearing this, "You brother is right, the reason why Han's sister is formidable is mainly due to her special physique that can enslave exotic beasts." After speaking, he continued with a look of confusion, "But then again, if Han's sister is so incredible because of her special physique, what about Chen brother? Does he also possess some kind of special physique? However, I feel like other than having a higher physical talent than us, Chen brother seems not to have any other special traits." It's so strange, I just can't comprehend it. Li Moyu said, it's enough just to have a high physical talent, why should there be any other special traits? Haven't you heard of the legendary physical sanctification? Physical sanctification? Luo Yongjian murmured, sinking into a bout of thought. It is said that the pure-blood human path has no future. Yet in reality, the most dazzling new students at Shanghai University this year are the couple Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan, who follow the pure-blood human path. Could it be that the pure-blood human path is the path with the highest limit for evolution? As Luo Yongjian was lost in these thoughts. Elsewhere, people from the student union carried Zheng Xinran down from the stage to treat her injuries. The method of treatment was simple, just letting her swallow a 9 revolutions great rejuvenation pill, wiping the bloodstains off her body, and that was pretty much it. President, what happened to Minister Zheng? A student union member couldn't understand how Zheng Xinran was critically injured and collapsed even though the punch Shen Qinghan delivered didn't seem to have much power, but Zheng Xinran just couldn't withstand it, which was very odd. Zhou Suihong explained expressionlessly, her qi blood was manipulated, it was forced into her heart in vast quantities, and her heart was burst open as a result. After hearing this, the student union member found it hard to believe. Minister Zheng's biological level is as high as an ordinary 9th order, and her qi blood is extremely condensed, so Shen Qinghan can actually manipulate Minister Zheng's qi blood. Zhou Suihong said nothing more. He just quietly watched Shen Qinghan on the stage, and fell into deep thought. Since he had entered the gym, he had occasionally heard discussions among the crowd about Shen Qinghan. They said that Shen Qinghan is a pure-blood human, who can use the abilities of exotic beasts not through genetic fusion with their genes, but because she can enslave exotic beast genes, attaining the corresponding abilities without needing to fuse with them. Gene slavery? The ability to gain the powers of exotic beasts while still following the pure-blood human path? Is there really such a miraculous special physique? Zhou Suihong found it quite unbelievable. Below the stage, Lin Zikan walked to the edge of the martial stage and looked up at Shen Qinghan with concern. How does your hand feel? Do you want to come down and get it treated? Shen Qinghan's arm had previously deformed and swollen significantly from blocking Zheng Xinran's full force kick. It's nothing, it will heal itself soon. Shen Qinghan turned her head to look at Lin Zikan and said with a faint smile on her face. Lin Zikan nodded, that's good then. As he said this, he was reflecting on the scene where Shen Qinghan had instantly defeated Zheng Xinran just moments ago. He had thought that Shen Qinghan would be caught in a fierce battle. However, the result was that Zheng Xinran only lasted one more round than Guo Heidong before being defeated at lightning speed. It could only be said that Shen Qinghan was much stronger than he had imagined. Shen Jr., let me exchange a few moves with you. Suddenly, a crisp voice rang out from the group of student council members. Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan both followed the direction of the voice. Then, what came into both of their sight was a bird person wrapped entirely in feathers. Under the gaze of everyone present, the bird person quickly flew above the martial stage and then slowly descended across from Shen Qinghan. It's actually the Vice President Tan Wanyi. Wow, even the Vice President is making a move. She's one of the few high-level experts in the school, ranked 3rd on the peak list. Does the Student Council hold Shen, the great beauty of Shanghai University, in such high regard? That's normal, the entire External Relations Department of the Student Council was blown away. If they don't send a strong player to deal with Shen Qinghan now, the Student Council's face will be lost. Such whispers arose among the crowd. Shen Qinghan, hearing that her opponent this time was a high-level creature, the 3rd-ranked expert on the peak list, immediately felt that old problem of hers act up, making her a bit nervous. But soon, she took a deep breath and adjusted her state in time. Constantly psyching herself up. I can do this. What's there to fear from a high-level expert? Xiao Chen managed to solo kill a traitor from the divine plant cult who was of senior 6th biological level. As the other half of the twin prides along with Xiao Chen, I will surely be able to defeat this senior. Shen Jr., are you ready? Tan Wanyi, while casually playing with the feathers on her body, asked nonchalantly, not taking Shen Qinghan seriously as an opponent. Shen Qinghan positioned herself in her preferred stance to fight, her expression solemn as she said, I'm ready. Tan Wanyi chuckled, since you're ready, then you make the first move, Shen Jr. The moment her words fell, Shen Qinghan didn't hesitate at all and instantly dashed out towards her, while at the same time thoughtfully using the abilities of the Blue Spirit Jellyfish King and the Water Butterfly to launch a double assault on her Qi blood and spirit. However, Shen Qinghan hadn't even taken 2 steps. Tan Wanyi in front suddenly spread her feather-laden wings. The next second, a whizzing sound erupted. Dozens of snow-white feathers were instantly propelled from Tan Wanyi's wings, shooting toward the charging Shen Qinghan like arrows. Shen Qinghan couldn't dodge in time and was pierced through by the feathers. The powerful impact from the feathers carried Shen Qinghan and slammed her against a pillar on the martial stage, pinning her tightly to it, unable to move. In a flash, Shen Qinghan was soaked by the blood that surged out, covered in blood, presenting a horrifying sight. Are you all right? Lin Zikan was the first to leap onto the martial stage to check on Shen Qinghan's injuries. As he spoke, he immediately started to pluck the feathers from Shen Qinghan's body. His movements were precise, trying to cause as little secondary damage to Shen Qinghan as possible. Only by removing these feathers could the living dead slug gene within Shen Qinghan perform its utmost self-healing, closing the wounds on her body. Shen Qinghan, enduring the pain, said with a bit of disappointment, that's too bad, I lost at the first exchange. If you lost, what of it? You've done very well today. As Lin Zikan spoke, he had already pulled out all the feathers from Shen Qinghan's body, took out a pill, and stuffed it into her mouth, while simultaneously removing his coat to wrap around Shen Qinghan's body. P.S. Bowls out, begging for monthly passes and recommendation votes. Chapter 330, 203, Vice President? Instant kill. The whole audience was dumbfounded. Administration building. Top floor. In the largest conference room, Vice President Yuan Dongji was holding a meeting with various school staff members. She summarized the teaching achievements of the last semester and set the teaching goals for this one. Suddenly, Yuan Dongji frowned slightly and turned her head toward the direction of the gymnasium. She sensed that the exotic beast's aura was very active there. Some genetic integrators were sparing. Among them, the aura of the Blue Spirit Jellyfish King and the Water Butterfly was particularly strong, instantly drawing her attention. Was King Han sparring with someone in the gymnasium? Thinking this, Yuan Dongji paused the meeting and, while opening the surveillance footage of the gymnasium, said to the people below, let's pause the meeting for a moment and take a look at the surveillance footage from the gymnasium. As she spoke these words, the surveillance footage of the martial stage on the first floor of the gymnasium appeared on the projector, capturing everyone's attention. The content on the screen was Shen Qinghan sparring with Zheng Xinran, the head of the Student Council's External Affairs Department. Why would Zheng Xinran go and spar with a freshman? A school leader turned to Lu Juanmu and continued, President Lu, was it your idea for Shen Qinghan and Lin Zikan to challenge the Student Council in the name of the pure-blood human path? Lu Juanmu was also a bit confused. I had absolutely no idea about this, it must be Lin Zikan's own thinking. The dean of the Mechanical Academy asked in confusion, isn't Shen Qinghan a genetic integrator? How is she representing the pure-blood human path to challenge the Student Council? Upon hearing his words, others realized something was amiss. Indeed, Shen Qinghan, clearly a freshman from Evolution College and a genetic integrator, how come she was now representing the pure-blood human path? Was it on behalf of her boyfriend? Everyone felt very puzzled. At that moment, Yuan Dongji calmly explained from the stage. Shen Qinghan is a pure-blood human, not a genetic integrator. The crowd, upon hearing this, went from puzzled to utterly baffled. Shen Qinghan exhibited the characteristics of a genetic integrator with her blue hair, and you're saying she's not a genetic integrator? Then what is she? A smurf? Seeing the bewildered looks on everyone's faces, President Lu chuckled and explained, Shen Qinghan has a very special constitution, her genes can enslave exotic beast genes, and upon enslaving, they can obtain the corresponding exotic beast's abilities. Unlike you all, there's no need to fuse with exotic beast genes, avoiding the risk of mutation. Therefore, she is still a pure-blood human, not a genetic integrator. Now, she has left Evolution College and joined the Tianren Pavilion. Of course, she can represent the pure-blood human path to challenge the student council. Enslave exotic beast genes? Could this be true? Also, Shen Qinghan left Evolution College to join Tianren Pavilion? Everyone was shocked, thinking President Liu's words were false, joking with them. However, when they saw Ma Zhenhe's face turn ashen but he didn't jump up to angrily refute President Liu as usual, they all realized that perhaps what Liu said was true. Just then, Zhang Xinran in the footage made his move. With a single lunge, at a speed difficult for the naked eye to follow, he charged at Shen Qinghan, launching a full-force attack at her. Seeing this scene on the screen, everyone thought Shen Qinghan was about to lose. However, it was only after 2 exchanges. Zhang Xinran, the External Affairs Department head, collapsed after taking a seemingly ordinary punch from Shen Qinghan. Blood flowed from his 7 orifices, and it looked like he was severely injured. What happened? All in the conference room were shocked, including President Liu and Yuan Dongji. Especially Yuan Dongji, she considered herself to be familiar with her young disciple Shen Qinghan. But now, seeing Qinghan capable of instantly defeating the head of the Student Council's External Affairs Department, her face was full of shock, feeling it incredibly unbelievable. Without further thought. Shortly after, Yuan Dongji had a thought, flew out the window of the conference room, and sped toward the gymnasium. To witness the battle up close. To see how Shen Qinghan managed to do it. How she could cause severe injury to her opponent with a single punch, surpassing her level. Seeing this, the various school leaders in the conference room immediately followed towards the gymnasium. It wasn't long before the school leaders all arrived at the gymnasium. As they entered the gymnasium, the scene that met their eyes was Shen Qinghan being overwhelmed by the student council's vice president, her body pierced with feathers, pinned against a pillar on the martial stage, her clothes soaked in large patches of blood, a ghastly sight. Then, they saw Lin Zikan leap onto the martial stage, helping Shen Qinghan remove the feathers from her body and escorting her down. Seeing that Shen Qinghan was unharmed after being shot with more than a dozen feathered arrows, several school leaders revealed shock, amazed by the resilience of Shen Qinghan's flesh. Is this the strength of the pure-blood human path? The dean of the Mechanical Academy murmured, the strength of that body is just too exaggerated. After speaking, he looked at President Liu and said, President Liu, I am starting to understand why you are so committed to researching the pure-blood human path. With the strength demonstrated by the pure-blood human path, at the same biological level, it indeed far surpassed both the genetic integration path and the mechanical modification path. If someday someone truly evolves into a high-level creature using the body of a pure-blood human, then the pure-blood human path will surely spread across the globe and become the chosen evolution path for many geniuses. Naturally. President Liu straightened his chest, a touch of pride in his voice. Ma Zhenhe, standing nearby, listened with displeasure, scoffing, what's the use of being invincible at the same level? The fact is, the pure-blood human path has not produced a single high-level creature to date, it's a dead-end road that can't be traversed.